Youorns. Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for the Youorns Saturday preview of Watford versus Bristol City at the Vic. That's coming up in just a few hours' time. Watford playing the first of 3 games in 1 week. And 2 of them, the next 2, including this one, will be at Vicarage Road. Watford taking on a Bristol City side that he drew 0-0 against just before the World Cup break in the late part of 2022. In that game, Watford were dismal and absolutely uninspiring. And very little has changed since then on the pitch for the Watford men's first team. Watford now, with these 5 games remaining in their season, should be looking to audition for next season, because playoffs are certainly are really a done deal now. They are not anywhere near those. Watford 6 points away at start of play today against Bristol City. Bristol City, by the way, are just 1 place below Watford in the championship table. Bristol City in 13th, Watford in 12th. Bristol City are 3 points behind Watford in 13th place. And Watford now, of course, playing out the string here. I think what Watford should be doing in a game against Bristol City, who, of course, have their former Watford manager, Nigel Pearson, at the helm there, what Watford should be doing now is really playing the youth. I think now you have to give the youth a tryout here. Give the youth, the academy players, a run out in this game against Bristol City. There's nothing at stake. Bristol City aren't going to the playoffs. Watford aren't going to the playoffs. Play the youth now. See what you've got in action now, and then build a template for next season. I think that Watford should be doing that in this game. Chris Wilder will see what he does, whether he will put more youth players in. We saw Ryan Andrews on Bank Holiday Monday, Easter Monday earlier this week, put in a good shift and do well in the game against Coventry at the CBS Arena. I would like to see Ryan Andrews again in this game. I'd like to see James Morris come in now and play left back. I would like to see more of the youngsters come in from the academy and make up the bulk of this Watford side. I think that this is the best way to give these players experience. Give them 60 minutes to get the championship game into their legs. Give them that time if they're fit and they're conditioned to do that. You can only help your cause in the future. This is no longer about this season. This season's gone as far as I'm concerned. The season's over. Yes, there's 5 more games to play, but play these 5 games that remain like you mean it, like you care. And I think the best way that we can expect anything with the word care in it from this Watford men's first team is by playing the academy players, because they do give a damn. They will fight for the shirt. So let's have more academy players that are fit and able to be into this side, to be in this side today in the Watford starting lineup. I would love nothing more than to see the likes of a James Morris, the likes of a Ryan Andrews, the likes of a Toby Adeyemo, the likes of an Adrian Blake. You know, whether they're injured, obviously, if they're injured, they can't go in. But if they're healthy and fit, give them a run out. Give them a run out, because those lads I just mentioned, they care. And they will show you that on the pitch by their play. So as far as I'm concerned, we need to see more of these kinds of players in the Watford side in these final 5 games, starting with Bristol City. Excuse me. Don't ever say Bristol Rovers in front of Bristol City fans and vice versa, because that can get very nasty. But the thing is, if we see Kone today, that'd be great. If we see some of these younger players like Martins, that would be great. Why not play a Rouge? I know that a Rouge has not set the world alight for Watford this season, but play him. Put him in. Put him in. You know, there's nothing to lose now. As I said, the season's over and they're not going to the playoffs. Put these lads in. Let's see what they can do. And Bristol City aren't going anywhere either. So put these younger lads in from the academy and put some of these other players in, and let's see what they can do. You know, if Asprilla is able to be fit, put him back in there. Let's see a younger lineup. Let's see what these Watford lads can do, these younger lads. I would like to see what they can do. And I'm sure I'm not the only Watford supporter who believes that or thinks that way. So let's get the youth on parade here today at the Vic. I would love to see it. I think Bristol City today, they're going to play fast-paced football. Watford need to be ready for that because I think under Nigel Pearson, you're going to get a very dynamic Bristol City. They typically, well, sometimes the formation changes, but I've observed that they typically play a 4-2-3-1, and they will move the ball about very quickly. They tend to move the ball with pace, and they've got some very pacey players. By the way, former Watford man Andreas Weimann is also at Bristol City. You'll see him as well. He played in the last game that Watford played against Bristol City back in late October. And we need to see, or mid-October, whenever it was, late November, whenever it was, I forget now, from this earlier part of the season. But the bottom line here is that Bristol City are going to play some open football. They're going to move the ball quickly. Watford need to come into this game and have a similar look. They must have a similar look to them. They must have a similar look. And what I mean by that is they need to move the ball quickly. They need to pass the ball better. They need to move the ball and pass it into space. If you can't get a simple pass from yourself to another Watford player, hit a space that player can run into. And there's got to be that communication between Watford players, because so often this season there has been horrible communication between Watford players on the pitch. Kind of resembles the way the club doesn't communicate to the fans. So the bottom line is that there needs to be better communication on the pitch between Watford players. There needs to be a better understanding of where people are going to be. If you can't get the ball straight away to a player and you're passing it along the ground, put the ball into space that the player can run into. This is the kind of fundamental thing that I think Watford have lacked all season long. Not having the kind of communication on the pitch and being very isolated. Those things have really hurt Watford this season, a very individualistic style of play. We saw that against Coventry the other day when Arouge interfered with a ball, and had he just left the ball and let that ball go across him through to João Pedro, Watford could have absolutely done themselves a world of good, and they probably would have scored there, João Pedro. But this is what we need. We need to have selfless players, players who are selfless, players who are team-oriented. Watford have not had that this season. I think the academy players would absolutely be far more team-oriented, and they will be up for this game, and they will move the ball quickly. Sure, they will make mistakes like everybody in life's history has done, but at least what you'll get from them is a sustained effort and two halves of consistent good football. Now, if these Watford players today can put together two halves of good football, Watford could come out of this game with 3 points. But if we get what we've been getting this entire season and all of last season, we're going to have the same result that we normally have in these games, particularly at Vicarage Road. This has been the YouOrns Saturday preview.